This is Religion in the News, sponsored by Wish TV, in cooperation with the Church Federation of Greater Indianapolis.
Good morning, Indianapolis. Welcome to Religion in the News. I'm Jeffrey Payne. Joining me today are Reginald Barney and Gabrielle Campo. We have a great show for you today as our guests talk about protecting our seniors against crimes and exploitation, how nonprofit organizations can get on board, and the great debate between creation and evolution. Stay tuned.
And good morning. My guests today are Robert Rill and Julie Batt, here to talk about protecting our seniors against crimes and exploitation. And welcome to Religion in the News. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. You know what, Robert, we talked before, and, you know, I think this is dear to my heart because we talk about a lot of fraud that is going along in the senior community. And I really appreciate it because your office is getting out and taking this to the community, and it's going to be in the churches, which I thought was just awesome. So let's talk about that, some of the programs you have, and I know, Julie, this is dear to your heart as well. We've talked about some of the things that happen. So let's talk, Robert, what is CASE all about?
CASE stands for Communities Against Senior Exploitation. And it's a program that originated in Denver and has been replicated in cities throughout the country. And Indianapolis was one of the first cities to take upon that program. And what we do is we reach out to the faith-based community and try to reach older Americans who are often more susceptible to being victims of fraud.
And you know what, we talked prior to coming in here, we talked about the senior community, and because we're in an aging population, so that means they're retiring, and a lot of them, they have wealth. So naturally, they're being targeted by outside sources that don't mean them any good or harm. So Julie, do you find that a lot in the community in which
Certainly. It's a generation that is just a lot more trusting, and they want to do good. They want to help, so they're easy targets. And while our presentation is good for the aging community, it's also good for a wide gamut, a wide range of everyone. So, but we're specifically going into churches, Robert, and when you go in, what type of presentations are you giving to the churches when you go in, and what are you telling them to look for? Because, you know, you got credit card abuse, you've got scams that are contest-oriented, and a lot of our seniors, they just sit there and they just kind of, they're on TV and they look at these things and they just become very susceptible to these things, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We talk about various issues: identity deception, charitable scams, home improvement fraud, caregiver fraud, various things, and we try to give information of the newest scams that are targeting, because there's a pattern. We'll see it in our office, or we'll get bulletins letting us know what the latest scams are. But often it is try to get the senior's personal identification, maybe their social security number, their bank account number, their routing number for their bank. So,
and you target specifically on how not to get involved with these type of activities.
Absolutely.
Directly, because a lot of them, they don't know, and they sound so good. If it's too, my thing, if it's too good to be true,
Exactly.
it's too good. So Julie, APS, let's talk about that, because we talked about APS. What does that mean?
APS stands for Adult Protective Services. It's very similar to Child Protective Services, only the investigators have cases that involve what are called endangered adults. There are 6 investigators for Unit 8, which services Marion, Hamilton, Hendricks, and Boone counties. I believe I gave you the number that will be listed later.
Yeah,
so
we'll be talking and showing it up on later. So
contact.
So, and you said this is 18 or older, so it's just specifically,
yes.
it's a
An
thing with 18?
endangered adult must be over 18, because if they're under 18, Child Protective Services will care for them. But it's someone who has some sort of mental or physical disability, and because of that disability can't care for either their physical self or their property, and is also in harm of, you know, their property being taken or their physical self being in harm due to some sort of neglect, which could be self-neglect, someone in a home that just can't care for themselves anymore and needs maybe services to come in and help them out, or battery. So say maybe they have a caregiver, like Rob had mentioned, we talk about caregiver fraud. Maybe they're being either battered or exploited financially.
Now, you know, I've never heard of caregiver fraud, because when you think about a caregiver, you think honesty, you think that somebody's just going to be in and be real with the family. I've never heard of that. So are you saying that's something that, you know, most young people or people that are working with their aging parents need to look into now? I mean, what is that all about?
Definitely need to be aware of. And caregiver could even be someone's own relative, their son or daughter. It's difficult to take care of your parent as they're aging. And sometimes people will find themselves taking advantage of their parents and not even realize it.
And that's just that blows my mind. I know we're going to have something brought up on the screen so they can get your numbers, and they can call the Marion County Prosecutor's Office Fraud Hotline at 327-5396, and that will alert them to any information or even these programs, or get with you, Rob, to come to their churches and present these presentations to the churches, because that's where a lot of people get taken, because they're just so believing.
Yeah, absolutely, and we will come out to any church, any faith-based organization, and present, and it's free of charge. And we will usually be one or two deputy prosecutors, sometimes someone from IMPD, and sometimes APS investigators as well.
Awesome. So we're glad that you came out. Thank you so much. I think this is great information. Appreciate you getting up this early in the morning to come out and be with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thank you, Reggie. My guest talks about getting on board right after this break. Welcome back. My guest today is Brian Ornder, who is here to talk about getting on board. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. I know in the not-for-profit world and in any community-based organization, you are the mastermind behind the newsletter and the capacity building that every organization looks to. So thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, I don't know if mastermind is exactly the terminology, but yeah, we're excited to be able to support the not-for-profit community in a couple roles. Well, we publish the Not-for-Profit News, and people know that from notforprofitnews.com. It's a weekly email newsletter, and then we're also consultants. We work with organizations in leadership transition, board development, and strategic planning. But today I'm excited to talk about this Get On Board event.
Yes, it's coming up, and I know it's an opportunity for those looking to get on a board of a non-for-profit.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
We've already gone through a process. This is the 9th year for the Get On Board event. It was an event that we found in Dallas, and we brought it up here and replicated it. In the first year, we had twice as many attendees as they had ever had, which was very exciting. But we actually we accept applications. It's sponsored by Lacey Leadership Association, and we accept applications from nonprofits all across central Indiana. And then a group gets together. We typically have somewhere between 100 and 120 applications, and we narrow that down to about 65. And then what we do is it's about a 2.5 to 3 hour event on the afternoon of October 3rd. I think the specific information will be up here. But we invite then people in the community who are interested in being board members or learning about being board members to come in and meet all those organizations in one place.
Wow. And those that want to get on a board, why would anybody want to get on a board? Or those that are hesitant, what's some overcoming
that's a
this?
great question, because there tend to be stereotypes about, if you're going to be on a board, you need lots of money, or you need to be in a high-ranking position in your corporation, or something like that. And most people who serve on not-for-profit boards are just looking to give back to the community. They're excited about the work that particular organization is doing, and they're willing to bring kind of their experience and their connections and social network to that work to help make a difference.
That's wonderful, and everybody's interest is different, and so I think you said you had 120 applicants, but only 65?
Right, yeah, we narrowed down to 65. We want to make it a good experience we're assuming that many of these people are first-time board members, so they're kind of coming in and trying to figure out, well, what exactly would this be and what kind of organization could we be excited about working with. So we'll actually have some short intro sessions that I'll actually be leading during. They can show up and kind of go down in the basement, or the basement at Conseco where this is being held, and we'll do kind of a 15-minute intro session where we say, here's the questions you want to ask these organizations. Here's what it would be like to serve on a board. Here are the things that you want to know before you would join. But then when they come back up, it feels a little bit like a job fair. Because there are 60 or 65 organizations, they can just go from space to space. We've got arts organizations, education organizations, youth serving organizations, community centers, community development corporations, the 500 Festival, I mean, just a very broad spectrum of large organizations and smaller organizations that they can talk to and they kind of can explore possibilities with. And all of those organizations have to be looking for volunteers that are on a board track. That's a requirement for them to exhibit. But some of them, say 500 Festival, recruits, I think, people onto committees first, and then they would move from committee to the board if they really were a good match for that organization.
Wow, and so you're doing such a service to that person interested, because they can learn, they're a little fearful, and then they can go in and experience and learn.
Right.
And you select them from all over, is it the community?
It's all over Central Indiana.
All over Central Indiana.
Yeah, most are Marion County.
Okay, and how many people attend?
We typically have around 500. I mean, I think in the 9-year history it's ranged from 400 to 600, so it's a pretty consistent group and number there. But it clicked with me as I explained it. It made it sound like if somebody comes, they have to go to that little orientation training session. They don't have to do that. That's an optional. That's off to the side. We usually have 50 or 75 people out of the 500 or so that choose to take advantage of that, just so they have a better orientation to what's
absolutely
the possibilities are.
And you were saying earlier that you've categorized them in terms of, like, if it's maybe an environmental group, a community development group.
Yes.
So
yeah.
you color code it.
One reason of going to the website, the LaceyLeadership.org, and signing up is that they will get the program by email in advance, and it'll be color coded. So if they want to see, say, youth serving organizations, or if they want to focus on environmental organizations, that the color coding will help them find those organizations quickly. So we certainly would encourage them to kind of walk through the aisles and get acquainted with all the organizations. But if they want to come in and talk to 4, they can be very targeted in how they do that.
Well, that is such a wonderful, wonderful event you're putting on. It's October 3rd?
It's October 3rd.
Okay.
It's at Conseco Fieldhouse in kind of that big lobby area when you first come in.
Okay.
And even up the stairs. It kind of flows up the stairs, so people just kind of come in and they can mingle around, and there's no charge. It's free. The event is free and parking is free in the garage that's right across the street from the field house.
That is so wonderful, Brian. Thank you so much, and I know our guests can go on the website and get more information, register,
and sign up.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Brian, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Now, Jeffrey, back to you.
My guests talk about the great debate between creation and evolution right after this break.